Hi, my name is Bill Browder. I'm the head of the Global Magnitsky Justice Campaign, and I'm pleased to be presenting to you here at the gathering my little story about the Magnitsky Act and South Africa. I'd like to be there in person, but unfortunately I can't because Vladimir Putin hates me so much he's put me on all sorts of Interpol and extradition lists. And while there are certain countries that I can travel to, South Africa is one country I can't travel to because I'm pretty certain that if I went there, the South African government would arrest me and send me back to Russia, where Putin would then torture and kill me like he did my dead lawyer, Sergey Magnitsky. In a nutshell, my story starts in the 1990s. I was an investment manager in Russia. I set up the largest investment fund in the country. I discovered corruption, massive corruption in the companies I invested in. I exposed it, and in retaliation, I was expelled from the country, declared a threat to national security in 2005. My offices were raided, they seized my documents, and then the documents were used in a complex fraud to steal $230 million of taxes that I'd paid to the Russian government from the Russian government. I had a young lawyer named Sergey Magnitsky discover the crime, expose it, and in retaliation, he was arrested, tortured for 358 days, and murdered in Russian police custody on November 16, 2009. Since his murder, I've given up my life as a businessman, and I've devoted all of my time and all of my resources and energy going after the people who killed him to make sure they face justice. Originally, I tried to get justice inside of Russia, but that turned out to be impossible. The Russian authorities circled the wagons. They exonerated everybody involved. And then I said, well, if we can't get justice inside of Russia, we should get justice outside of Russia. That's when I came up with this idea of the Magnitsky Act. And the idea was very simple, which is that they killed Sergey Magnitsky for money, and the people who stole that money keep that money abroad. They keep that money in the United States. They buy condos in South Beach and ski chalets in Aspen. They buy apartments and villas in London and south of France and so on. And so I came up with this idea, which is that we might not be able to prosecute these people for torture and murder in the West, but we can certainly freeze their assets and ban their visas. And I took this idea to two senators, Senator Benjamin Cardin, a Democrat from Maryland, Senator John McCain, Republican from Arizona. And I told them the Magnitsky story, and I said, can we freeze their assets and ban their visas? And that became known as the Magnitsky Act. The Magnitsky Act was very, very well accepted in the American political establishment. And when it went for a vote in the Senate, it passed 92-4 in November of 2012. It passed the House of Representatives with 89%. And on December 14, 2012, the Magnitsky Act became a federal law. Vladimir Putin went out of his mind, and he banned the adoption of Russian orphans by American families as retaliation. He made repealing the Magnitsky Act his single largest foreign policy priority. And in the craziest thing, he actually sent an emissary to Trump Tower in June 2016 to meet with Donald Trump's son and son-in-law and campaign manager. But this was before Trump was elected, to try to get Trump to repeal the Magnitsky Act if he was elected. I'm happy to say that none of that happened. America actually expanded the Magnitsky Act in 2016 to make it a global Magnitsky Act, not just to sanction Russian human rights abusers, but to sanction human rights abusers from China and Venezuela and Iran and so on. In 2017, Canada passed a Magnitsky Act. In 2018, Britain passed a Magnitsky Act. In 2020, the European Union, 27 countries of the European Union passed a European Magnitsky Act. 2021, Australia. In the meantime, we have Norway, Iceland, Kosovo, Montenegro, Jersey, Gibraltar, BVI, Cayman Islands. In total, there are 35 countries with Magnitsky Acts around the world right now. The Magnitsky Act has been very relevant to South Africa. Um, the Gupta brothers, who I'm sure you're all familiar with, were sanctioned by the US government under the Magnitsky Act, under the Global Magnitsky Act, for the harm that they've done, the kleptocracy that they've been involved in South Africa. And it really is an unbelievably valuable tool, not just dealing with Russia, but dealing with the whole world. It would be great if South Africa had a Magnitsky Act, as long as South Africa was using it properly. I kind of have my doubts right now based on the fact that South African government is so sympathetic to Vladimir Putin. I mean, it's almost inconceivable. I'm sitting here in London. In London, there's an alliance between the European Union, UK, Canada, US, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, other countries that I would call sort of rule of law countries, who have all condemned Putin in the harshest possible way, sanctioned him, supplied weapons. And they've got South Africa, which is a country which we all supported when the South African people were standing up to apartheid. We all went on demonstrations at universities, boycotting products, getting sanctions imposed, so that South Africa could live a free and fair life. And now South Africa is free and fair, and instead of siding with the free and fair of the world, South Africa is now siding with a murderous dictator, and that does really disappoint me. In any event, I'm really glad to be here, at least on video, to talk to you, and I very much hope that one day I can return to South Africa when it won't be dangerous for me to come there, where another South African government, a new South African government, condemns Putin and does the right thing and joins the civilized world fighting against these atrocities. Thank you very much.